Yo, yo, yo. How's everybody doing out there? I hope you are all doing well. Even if you're long, I hope everything's okay. Straight off the rip. Remember how we talked about last stream? First off, hi. Hello. I know you guys are itching to get into it because stuff is happening. Okay? So I will get into the howdies and hellos here in a second, but I want to show one thing and one thing only right off the rip. Remember how we talked about okay, there you go. How last stream we discussed this, how whenever there's a Wyckoff bottom and then a breakout, a big sweaty breakout, it's always in a way. I'm gonna bring this home. I know price is crashing, but I'm making a point here and I want you guys to understand because we're probably gonna see this happen live, which is really cool. Whenever we leave a Wyckoff, whatever, distribution, accumulation, whatever, there is typically a blow off. There's some sort of blow off. It's a market-wide signal. Hey, this is for real. Like there is a new trend and the trend is this direction. Okay. So that is typically what happens after Wyckoff stuff, accumulation, distribution, whatever. So let's bring that to 2017 top. The exact same thing happened. Once we got out of our Wyckoff distribution top, again, this is old, 2017. Once we got out of it, this was one of the nastiest sell-offs we had seen in Bitcoin's history. In fact, let's measure it really quick. And again, I know price is falling. We're going to go right back to it. But in one day, price fell 27%. And then within 2 days, it fell about 32% as it left the Wyckoff range. So I'm making that point to say, if this is really the real deal, the Wyckoff, the confirmation that distribution is behind us, the big fat check mark, then this thing is going to teleport. Like it is going to, within about a day, I mean, I'm telling you, we'll be low 30s. This is the market's way of confirming this stuff. This is crazy. So we'll see if that actually happens or if it's not quite time yet, right? What if it's, we kind of meme our way back up and then we finally drop? But I don't think that's what we're going to do. There's too much downward pressure. At least this is my very, non-financial advice. The read here is, this is breaking down and breaking down hard, and a lot of people are running for the exits. That's how I see it. We'll see. Hey, how about Wyckoff? Round of applause for old Dick Wyckoff, giving us the heads up all the way back here at 57.58. Thank you, old Dick. Is this because of Elon or some other shit happened? No. Trude K or Trude. Listen, dude, what we've discussed for the last month on stream is how, like 3 times a week for 4 weeks, is how what we're seeing right here, this is what's known as Wyckoff distribution, or at least the schematic of it, like the buildup of it. The volume profile matches, everything matches for it. Okay, as we made new highs, we had a decrease in volume. And then the only sudden spikes in volume we had that were noticeable were on the sells. And then another decrease in volume. This little meme right here, that was pretty good. Good job. And it got us a little 5 to 10% bounce in there. But then once again, volume goes down and a big volume spike in sells. The only time the market is getting interested is when they have a chance to sell or when they feel like they need to sell. And this is like very, very common in a Wyckoff, in a distribution top. So that being said, we're also making macro lower lows. We're breaking the structure of the horizontals. Now, everybody who had a long has been blown out. Anyone who, was margin short from up here is doing pretty good. It's crazy. But this is when we first spotted this. Right? And look at how this has played out. This is wild to me that it actually played out. I expected it to get blown out. again, if this is true, like if it's its time, right? And sometimes it likes to kind of meme around before it actually sends it, right? Give it a week of just kind of drifting. But if this is the real deal, we're gonna teleport. You're gonna see a candle about like this. Okay, so there's two moves here. Science. There's two plays here. One is the teleport move, but I don't short Bitcoin. This is just every time I've tried to short Bitcoin in the past, like years ago, I got burned. So I'm not interested in shorting this. I am interested in buying the rally. I'm behind that. So I am watching for a big, sweaty, nasty, maybe a 30% drop. Sure, send it. I would love to see something like that. But then I want to ride that all the way back to a retest. I think we will get a macro retest because that's very common. That's very common. No matter what is happening in the market, even though it's a big sweaty sell-off, it's very common to come back. In this, let me show it on another chart so it's just real clean. It would give macro confidence, macro confirmation that it's for sure going down, something like that. So bang, bang. These are the two moves I'm looking for. Not to go to the moon. You gotta enter these trades. You gotta enter these trades and know when you're getting out. If this is a long-term hold for you, like imagine you bought down at 20 or 30, 29 to 33, somewhere in this window. If you want to hold that for a couple of years, then by all means, that's a great price. I'm not saying that's a bad price. It's a fantastic price. But the way I plan to play this is hopefully, assuming everything works, fingers crossed, right? Assuming it plays out like normal market structure things do, you would get something like this. So I want to be the buyer. I want to be a seller. The end. That's my trade. And that's my only trade for probably a month or two. The implications of this, I cannot overstate what this could potentially mean. Okay, this could be a at least an 18-month downtrend. It could be. Now we could absolutely recover, when the country of the United States says they're all in Bitcoin, and by the way, nothing else matters, we're only going Bitcoin, forget the dollar. Okay, maybe. But traditionally, whenever you see something like this, this is a sign of whales that have pushed, the guys that push the ball up this hill, right? The big strongmen that push the ball up the hill, they are no longer pushing that ball up the hill anymore. And they're out. They don't care what happens. They don't care who's crushed. So again, the last time we saw a market top like this was 2018. And you can look at that pain. Look at that subsequent bear market. Oh man. Like this is what we have in store. The moment I pointed out that this looked like a Wyckoff top, this is what was going in my head, and I took no pleasure in doing that. But I feel like it is my responsibility to speak very openly and at least let you know what to expect or what the chart is predicting. Yeah, I'm telling you, if this is the real deal, it's going to teleport. Like there's no just little baby drops. It's not like we're up in here memeing around. We're not in there. No, this is like the implications behind this. People, they get it. The whales, they understand. Now maybe we were faster than them and we got out of the way. But look how many people are stuck in, consider a margin position, at minimum a margin position. Think about the whales that have like billions of dollars that changed hands up in this little pocket. And now they're stuck. And that pressure to the downside is what causes the price to keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling in an accelerated fashion until you hit a point where there's bids ready. Maybe if there's a streamer who is like trying to warn you about it for literally 4 weeks. No, this is not a victory lap. I know that people, I say stuff like that because I kind of feel defensive. It was like me against the world. Literally no one took this seriously. So I felt like I had to have conviction and kind of fire back at people when they fired at me. But truthfully, I do feel if you're stuck in a position, I'm sorry. And it sucks. And I get it. And I'm not laughing at you. And hopefully we can work our way through it. Just like I said, remember, once this thing finds a bottom, and it might be $10,000 below where it is right now, like that's the reality, but once it finds a bottom, I completely think, I have every reason in the world to think we're gonna at least come back up and retest this 43,000 level. Is simply holding for 10 years an option? Yeah, as long as it's Bitcoin. I don't have as much faith in all these alts, even Ethereum. 10 years? No way. I have no idea. But if you want to hold Bitcoin, dude, there's all kinds of stories of guys who went to jail because of like stupid stuff. Like they didn't pay their taxes, not for crypto, but like just in life, they didn't pay their taxes on something. Like they sold a car and didn't pay their, so they went to jail and they're like, okay, whatever. Or maybe their roommate got a drug offense, like a felony drug charge, and so they were like a party to it because they were in the room. Like it wasn't even their drugs, but whatever. They're in jail for like 2 or 3 years, and they come back and they have you know, that 1,000 Bitcoin that was worth like $100 at the time because they bought a little weed off the dark web. Suddenly they're worth like millions. There's a lot of like really funny stories like that if you wanted to Google. But anyway, that could be you as well. Why have a permanent hold bag if you're confident price is going to dump? Now, I can talk about this in hindsight because I don't want to influence you in the moment. Like I don't want to be. I'm not a signals group or whatever. But I adjusted, like, remember my pie? This is my entire net worth basically in crypto. And before, like, that was my trade stack and this was my hold stack. I basically inversed that. When I had conviction that this was a Wyckoff top. So I do still have some exposure, but it's not like it was. And now I have a ton of capital to catch whatever dip shows up. But again, like you got to remember, back in kind of this area or this area, it wasn't as clean cut as it is. Well, yeah, now it looks horrible, right? But like back in here, $60,000 Bitcoin, a lot of people thought you were crazy for even considering a top. So I had to leave something on the table. In the event I was wrong, you know, everything just started face melting. It invalidated this whole setup, whatever. I know you think we go much lower, but gun to your head, what is your anticipated time frame for a bottom? Below average, the bottom, like let's say bottom for this move, 2 days, 3 days, 2 to 3 days. The one that's in motion right now, 2 to 3 days. The final mark, like the final bottom, the one where we end up going, wherever it is, whatever it is, I have no clue. We got to watch for it, and I'll be streaming and we'll be watching for it, and hopefully we can be the group like, hey everybody, now's the time to buy, and they'll sleep on us just like they slept on this Wyckoff top, and they'll be like, nah, look, these idiots over here think they're gonna buy. Don't they know Bitcoin's busted? Bitcoin's dead. And we're gonna be building fat stacks. That's the plan. That is the plan. Any alts you don't mind holding at this point? Yeah, like there are DeFi coins are going crazy. So if you can get DeFis on these dips, like let's say we do just teleport down here and you can buy some of the DeFi stuff, the resilience they've shown is crazy. And I'm not a DeFi guy. Like I kind of despise this whole DeFi hype wave, but you can't deny stuff like Aave and Sol, like they get bought back hard as hell. You really think it'll go below 30K? I mean, that's literally what this is telling us. That's what this is. This whole buildup, this is 100+ days of sideways and no new highs. In fact, this is our 100th day since we entered this range. We are on our 100th day and we're exiting. So the whales have had 100 days to continue things to the upside, and they have not been able to do it. The composite operator, you know, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, they have had every chance in the world to continue to the upside, and they haven't been able to do it. I'm excited for the journey with you. Yeah, me too, Fiery, because I think we're going to call the bottom. I think we're going to nail the bottom just like we nailed the top, and it's going to be the same thing. So the crowd is going to be like, no, Bitcoin's over. Don't you guys know Bitcoin's done? And we're going to know. We're going to see it in the chart before the news ever hits. Before Elon jumps out, you know, before China bans Bitcoin, before any of that stuff. We're going to see it in the chart. We're going to see the accumulation. It's going to be good. All right, so here is something else I want to point out really quick. This is Josh's cloud settings that and I am not a cloud trader, right? And I'm just saying that 100%. But I do find this fascinating because Josh came on and explained to us, CarpeNoctom, how in his cloud system, there was a buy signal and then a subsequent sell signal. And just like us, a lot of people didn't listen to Josh. They were like, oh no, you're just being a bear. You're just fudding, blah, 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 blah. But Josh actually came on and we were talking about how my Wyckoff outlook lined right up with his cloud, Ichimoku cloud outlook, which was really, really interesting. So let me turn on price and just point out that not only has price continued down, right? As was indicated by the, hey, you should probably sell signal. But not only that, but it's actually cleared the cloud. And now you have, everything looks bearish on this. The fast moving average is now to the downside, the slow moving is on the upside. Any kind of rally is going to run and just slap its head on this. So what I suspect is that once we do get our rally, it's going to line right up the fast and slow moving averages before it continues on, something like that. So we'll keep our eye on that just because I find it interesting. I think people don't understand how significant it is to form a trade range, and then break out of it with all the chances in the world to reverse it, to not break out of it. And look at this volume. This is not a lot of volume. Once the volume really picks up from like margin long cascades and everything, it like I said, it's the only word I can think of to describe it is teleport. You mean 35 as the low pre-bounce? According to the cloud system, on the 2-day, if you were playing the edge to edge, you would enter a short upon a candle close inside the cloud, which would be, oh, sorry, I realized that. Can't see that. Okay. Which would have been like 40,000 or 43,000. So your short would open at 43 and you'd look to close it at 35. That doesn't mean it can't continue out. Just like on the 1-day. See how on the daily right here, it continued through the cloud and out? Like something like that could happen. I see us going to 18K support for a few months for a few months. Says Ultimate Freedom before it settles at 25K. Thoughts? Well, so I'm gonna be that guy. Let's just measure the last time we saw a Wyckoff top to the bottom. Let's just measure that. Okay, 2017. Top, high to low, 83%. So, again, if we just take that same metric, which I'm sure it's going to be different. It's not going to be exact, right? Who knows? But 83% is about $10,000 Bitcoin. Yikes! So, that's why on this chart, I have it marked 10,000 to 15. This is kind of my window. So yeah. Oh, I realized I like blew a lot of minds here. 10K Bitcoin. I'm sorry. Whoa. I forget that a lot of you guys aren't here. Yeah. No, that's for real. Like, all right. Let me explain this once again. Because this needs to be understood. You guys need to process this. And if I need to say it a few times, I will. Whenever you see a Wyckoff something, a Wyckoff top or a Wyckoff bottom, this was the Wyckoff accumulation bottom. Crystal clear. Crystal clear. All right. Whenever you see a Wyckoff whatever, that is a sign of big money. Either entering in the case of an accumulation bottom or exiting in the case of a distribution top. Okay? And the implications of this are significant. So the guys who helped the price get from, for example, in 2016, They got the price from about $200 to $20,000. They're out. They're out. They don't care what happens. If you get completely destroyed, they don't care. It's not their problem. They made their money and they're gone. So while you're buying the dip meme and watching the entire market crumble, and you're like praying for it not to crumble, and then it crumbles again, right? Because from the highs it already fell 60%, and then here it fell another 50%. Like while you're slugging through all that stuff, they're on the sidelines. They don't care. They have no interest in helping you. So whenever, like, that is what needs to go through your head. Whenever somebody sees a Wyckoff top like this, and then it confirms, you got to understand the whales are out. The big boys are out. They don't care. And then let me drag this one over, because we talked about this a handful of times. And again, I had it mansplained to me by a lot of like fancy crypto guys about how wrong I was, blah, blah, blah. What we have on Glassnodes is this kind of whitish grayish line. Kind of zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. There we go. This whitish grayish line is the Bitcoin price. Okay. So as price was rising, there was a point where the orange line shot straight up. You see how the orange line goes like straight vertical? The orange line is the number of Bitcoin wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin. Okay. So over 1,000 Bitcoin in a single wallet. And then the higher the number, the higher the line goes, the more of those wallets there are. So the thinking is, hey, if we're in a real bull run, we're going to see, like, as price goes up, probably the number of those wallets will go up, and there might be some kind of take profits along the way, sure, but they'll probably hold, especially if we're going to keep going higher. Like if we're going to go to 100K or 200K and it's like a for sure thing, then they're at least going to plane and go sideways. But look what happened. While we were in our 100-day distribution range, look what the number of 1,000 Bitcoin wallets did. They dropped like a stone. In fact, there are less wallets. They've continued to drop. There are less wallets with 1,000 Bitcoin in them now than there were back when the price was $9,000. So the implications of this are huge. The data's right here. So I actually use this as support to my bearish thesis that, hey, if the whales are selling, then this line would go down. And oh, hey, look, the line's going down. Did they move to another coin like ADA or DFI or something, or are they out? 9 times out of 10, they're just out. Now, we don't have much to go off of, okay? And this is the moment where reality and speculation may differ. Okay, so I can be totally off on this, right? So I'm going to explain what I see based on history, but what you see may be different. Like what the reality of the situation is, it might be a little different. So let me give you a quick summary. We had a stream a while back where we looked back at the 2017 Bitcoin top distribution, Wyckoff distribution, just like what we saw right now, like very, very, very similar, right? And the deal was, as soon as price broke down, not a single alt made a new all-time high. Not one. Not one. Which is very interesting to me, because the implications of this are that even the alts will die. Now, is that the case? I don't know. Again, now we have DeFi this time. Ethereum is getting hyped like crazy. You know, we have Doge that's going to send us to Mars, right? Elon Musk and all that. So maybe this time is different. But at least in 2017, if we want to act on data we have, the data we had back in 2017 says most alts are going to die once they leave the trade range. Now, there were some small cases, like I think Link during the bear market went up really good. BNB made some all-time highs. There were some edge cases, yes. But like on the whole, with the discussion of, well, did the whales really pivot to alts, or did they sideline? Are they like, you know, dollars in their bank account kind of thing? The majority of them are just in dollars. They're just in dollars. Now, a lot of the big pumps that you think about back in the last cycle, if you guys were here for that, like XRP going to $3, all that kind of stuff, that happened in the distribution trade range. That actually was up in here. Okay, so if we bring that to present, the only time, or the only way that I'm going to get bullish on alts, like even on the dollar pair, and yeah, I'm stuck way underwater on alts, and I'm gonna sit on them till next cycle if need be. So I'm speaking like as I'm bleeding. I'm telling you this. I will not buy any more alts while the price is suppressed under the trade range. But imagine a scenario, okay, just kind of what if this with me. Imagine a scenario where price suddenly rallied back and maybe consolidated. Okay, well, I know that alts had explosive new all-time highs in the trade range, and now that we showed strength and came back into the trade range, yeah, I'm gonna go hard on alts. Like that's the go big or go home signal to me. That's the bat signal. Because if we can at least, I mean, even if we can get up to the midline, right, and have some kind of like bearish retest of the midline of 50,000 or something, alts are going to absolutely explode. But we're not there yet. And that's just a what if. You got to wait for confirmation for stuff like that. We got to get back into the trade range before you do anything like that. So what I was saying is we have our trade range. We broke down. If it can break back into it, then that would be where all of a sudden I have great expectations for alts. But while we're down here, I don't have any faith in any alts. Now there's always an edge case, right? Like Matic or FTT or just some random altcoin goes crazy, goes haywire. But I'm not smart enough, and I don't keep up with that stuff enough, like fast enough and like constantly to know what's going on. And if technical analysis did not work, I could not have warned you here and here about like what was coming, like a bear market. Like so many people thought we were crazy for even talking like that, but that was the structure of the market. It wasn't luck. And this was all before Elon Musk tweeting, all before China bans Bitcoin and blah, 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 all that stuff. And if you're in an alt that's doing really well, congratulations. And that is awesome. But don't use that as fuel to fool yourself into thinking we're still in a bull market. The price action we're looking at literally right now is destroying our bull market. This is what the end of bull markets look like. This is the death of a bull market right here. You're looking at it. Take a snapshot, take a selfie, lean over the grave, chunk up the deuce. This is what it looks like, which I hate to say, but it is what it is. What are you doing with your underwater alts? I'm gonna just hold them. It's not a big enough position that I'm gonna like worry. It's maybe, I don't know, 10% of my total position, and that's okay. Why wouldn't you just sell the alts and buy back lower? Because they're already heavily suppressed, and at some point I just don't care anymore. I mean, it just is what it is. Like Neo, the longer you hold Neo, the more gas you get, and gas itself is an alt that pumps occasionally. So if we get some random Neo and gas pump, like the longer I hold that, the more gas I'm getting, and then everything will pump up. But it's not like I'm ultra bullish. I don't sell on down days. I don't sell on down days. That's not how I do it. Whenever there's a rally, maybe something like Neo and Litecoin that I'm underwater on, maybe they overreact. And suddenly I have a chance to exit, like while everyone is like blindly bullish thinking the bull market's back on. That's when I'll sell. But I do not sell when candles are going straight down like this. It's bad practice, and I'd encourage you guys not to do it. That would be like selling in this and not selling in there when you know that, oh, this is actually a much better exit, right? Yeah, this was scary. Like if I go back and just put it on that candle, yeah, that was terrifying. But if you let it play out, and kind of in hindsight, you can be like, oh, yeah. So the market tends to give you much better exits, and maybe this time it doesn't. And I recognize that. What do you think Bitcoin will be in 5 years? 250,000 or more. Which is why, dear listener, whenever I see something like this, I'm going to play it and like for the opportunity to potentially 5x my bags, if I got out at 57,000, which was roughly my like complete exit, and if I can somehow get down even at 20,000, that means I will have lasted a 75% drawdown. And once we get back to that point, I'm up almost 3x with the same money. So if I can big brain this and 3x my stack on spot before we go to $250,000, that's how you make life-changing money. That is how you make life-changing money. Not with Elon Musk and tweets and memes and Ripple and Hex and blah, blah, blah. It's by recognizing what the market is telling you, not trying to argue against it or say like, no, the market's wrong. I'm not wrong. The market's wrong, which I'm hearing a lot of right now. And just play it as it is. If you look at the last day or so, look at all this. Look at all this. AOG, thank you for the gift to sub, buddy. Look at that breakout. So we had a downtrend, a breakout, bullish breakout. Hey, here we go. Nuked. Another breakout on low time frame. Like this was get chopped up city. Lower low. I saw people talking about an inverted head and shoulders. Hell, I saw one guy talking about a double head and shoulders, which is a new one to me, but you know, they exist. I had to look it up. And then it completely reversed. So this is how you get chopped up. You need to wait for the market to give you clear signals. Right now is not a clear signal. So to me, big stack money, hands off the wheel. With the rip, I love it. It's not even a clear signal that we're going down. Well, it is. It is. But I was talking about for where to put your money. Like the time to sell was like up in here. Down in here, are we gonna meme around first before we actually send? I don't know. I don't know. This is like, imagine you're in the ocean right now. You're in a life raft, and you're barely holding on, and you're trying to survive, right? And it's just you, and you're in your life raft, and you look over to your right, and there's a massive whale, like a literal, like a physical whale, bigger than like an ocean liner. And then you look on this side, and there's another whale, and one says bulls, and one says bears. And they don't like each other, and now they're gonna start fighting, and you're caught in the tussle. You're caught in the waves. Everything's going crazy. You don't know what's going on. That's literally where we're at right in this moment in time. If you try to make a move, it's probably gonna be wrong. Now, macro wise, we have a pretty good idea of what's going on, and that's why we like to zoom out and talk about like what's to come and what's the trend and stuff like that. But if you're trying to trade anything on like the hourly or below, you're going to get absolutely destroyed, because there's big money both trying to protect their position and also enter shorts, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of smart people who see what I see, maybe in a different lens, but they're starting to wake up. It's starting to click. Oh, this isn't good. Oh, we're breaking to new lows and not rallying. Oh, what are your thoughts on the environment? I think it's dude, I think that whole thing is a meme. Stop. I think the whole environmental whatever is a complete meme. Like, what is the environmental impact of printing every US dollar in circulation and armored cars that drive them around, and every bank and every teller that operates at every bank and the computers in every bank? Like, get that out of here. Come on. To me, there's a big segment of the general population that it's kind of a social justice warrior, whether they realize it or not, and they're like, I'm gonna make my stand, and they mean well. Like, I'm not saying they're bad people, they're good people, but somehow smart people know how to weaponize that in different ways, and I think that's what they're doing here. Hold on, we're gonna do vibe song. I need to like breathe. The environment stuff gets me all worked up. Ooh, check. All right. Check this out, guys. Fresh sheet, fresh chart. Okay. So nothing written. We're gonna go through this, and I'm gonna show you some really interesting things just straight off the rip. Number one, head and shoulders. Clear. Clear as day. All right, let's paint it like here. All right, fair enough. Let's paint that. This is conservative. I think we could go much lower, but let's do it from there. All right. So this has a price target. This is just normal TA, right? Very standard TA stuff. We have a head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder, neckline. Then you measure from the neckline to the tip of the head. And then from the breakdown, it's this, that. So these two things are the same. That and that. Those two things are the same. Has a price target down here. Now, if I zoom in on, say, the 30-minute, you have a bearish consolidation. You have a downtrend, consolidation, a series of lower highs, along with higher lows that eventually broke down. You would have bet on the breakdown for two reasons. Number one, the head and shoulders target has yet to be hit. We haven't hit it yet. Head and shoulders has not hit its target. It fell well short. Number two, whenever you have very clear symmetrical consolidation, like a symmetrical triangle, it breaks down like something like 9 times out of 10. It will absolutely break down or up based on the preceding trend. Okay. So if we had this exact same pattern after an uptrend, right? And if the chart was like, all right, so if we had a big old uptrend coming into this and it did this exact same thing, you would actually lean for it to go to the upside. That's the way the TA works. But since we came from an uptrend that was breaking down, the trend is down. The momentum is down as well. And then bonus points for any false breakouts. Oh, look at this. We have a pretty clear trend using like 4 or 5 touches. We have a breakout, a secondary false breakout that retraced and nuked back down. So this was also your warning, like, hey, this is probably headed down. And eventually it did break down. Interesting stuff. Let me say this about any kind of buying right now, I guess with like Bitcoin specifically. If you're buying Bitcoin for a multi-year hold, you're gonna be fine. There's literally no moment in history ever. Here's the entire trade history of Bitcoin captured on one chart. There's no point where you could have bought and then stayed underwater if you just didn't wait. Can you imagine these guys right here? Can you imagine watching price go to $30, 30 whole dollars? Oh my God. And then they get stuck underwater back at $8 and they feel like idiots as it crashes all the way down to $2. Like you have to understand, it's the same game, just with more digits. It's just more digits after it. So if you're buying right here, and even if it does go another like 50% down or whatever, like, okay, yeah, it's gonna suck because you're gonna realize like, hey, I could have bought a little lower and I wish I could have done that. But in the grand scheme of things, like, you're gonna be the guy buying at $8 and no one's gonna feel sorry for you. They're gonna be like, oh, wah, I only bought $8. Did someone get addicted to crack? Wah. Then you're gonna get that kind of response. When in the future, it does something like, even if it pulls back to like 10K and then goes to like $250,000. Yeah, no one's gonna care that you bought it at 40,000 instead of like 30 or something like that. So anyway, just FYI. Okay, and somebody just said, come on, go to 25,000 already. I do need to make one point. Please recognize that from the moment Bitcoin broke down from its Wyckoff distribution top, which is happening like this is like day one of that happening. Okay, this is the first day of school here. The last time that happened, it took Bitcoin 33 days to find its bottom. No. I said 33. 333 days. 333 days. That's why I say the implications of a distribution top cannot be overstated. Like this is a big deal. We got a lot of pain in front of us. This is not just over tomorrow kind of thing, or it's not going to find its bottom tomorrow. There is pain for days ahead of us. How does our dab line look? Oh, that's a good question, Nolan. Let's do that. Let's after I take a look at this. Holy hell. Wow. Man, if you get in these plays, congratulations. I love plays like this, where it's a Bitcoin chart that just gets like smaller and smaller and you have to zoom way in to see anything. This is great. So if you rode this from the initial breakout, let's say like this little consolidation, you're up 15x versus Bitcoin. That's insane. I'm not about to tell you where this thing can top because, I mean, look at this. Look at this candle. I am going to say take profit, but as strong as this is, as strong as this uptrend is, absolutely leave something on the table, right? I mean, but look, when you're 15x up versus Bitcoin in anything, take something off the table. Don't get stuck, right? Because look, there was a time when these guys right here went like 3x versus Bitcoin and they thought they were, did you guys hear that? There was some like massive thunder. I guess we're having a storm or something. But these guys thought they were, you know, geniuses for riding this thing up. Oh, here we go. It's going to the moon. And then it pulled all, you know, look at the subsequent downtrend. So you just don't want to get stuck in this kind of stuff. So yeah, take something off the table. What's your thoughts on BNB as feds investigate? Seems like just add it to the FUD list. Add it to the FUD list. Shove us down. Hey. It's like Price was like teetering on this edge, kind of looking down. And some whales kind of like looked around. And they all whispered together to come up with a bunch of FUD. And they released it all at once. It's like, this is like the feeling. Which the effect is like to Spartan kick them straight off the cliff edge. Because that's what this is looking like. It's so nasty. He actually replied. I didn't think he read anything. Like, I figured he followed me and then put me on mute and kind of like tucked it away or whatever. But that was really cool. The fact that he even replied to me. Now, what he replied was really interesting. What he said was, because I said there's a lot of people with no plan. He said, plan, how about this? We may be going to Guyana, but we're going to trade our way there. Which is like essentially Boomer Goblin Town. That's like another way to put it. So we may be going to Goblin Town, but we're going to trade our way there. Like John is bearish. He's at like the Bollinger is bearish. He had some good tweets on Bitcoin too earlier. Yeah, here we go. The current setup needs to be reversed quickly or we'll have a head fake on our hands. This was back April 14th. Let's see what was happening on April 14th. That candle. Can you imagine being in your like 60s looking at this market that you probably don't really understand? Like, let's be real. Does John really sit down and work out the ones and zeros of how Bitcoin works and blockchain and the whole deal? Probably not. But all he needed to do was look at this chart and he was like, oh yeah, head fake. Probably going down. I hope that I can get to that point where I can look at any emerging market, no matter what it is, and just know, like, just look at a chart and be like, oh yeah, we're headed down. That blows my mind. I think what we're going to see is Bitcoin dominance actually probably find a bottom and maybe even go up. Because when people have fear, they tend to go back to daddy Bitcoin. They don't tend to, like, it's not like when things get scary, they rotate it into XRP, right? They either go to cash or they go to Bitcoin. And so even in the worst downtrends, like, let's look at, here's a nice example. Ethereum was really strong last cycle too. It outperformed Bitcoin. From high to low, Bitcoin pulled back 84%. Let's look at what Ethereum did. Ethereum, again, outperformed Bitcoin to the upside and outperformed it to the downside. Or I guess, like, had larger percentage drawdown to the downside. So it lost 94, it fell 94% compared to Bitcoin's 84%. And that was like the next best thing to Bitcoin. A lot of whales were stacking Ethereum very clearly. All right, so the last time I pulled up silver, this is what I was looking at. Yeah, still looks like a really clean ascending wedge, or ascending triangle rather. So I would watch for a breakout and then continuation. And then the implications of that would be a cup and handle. And like we would have, you'd be looking at silver up in the, like like the maximum would be 180, but 70 bucks to 180 bucks, something like that. So we're gonna see what happens. Which, wouldn't it be so funny? Wouldn't it be so, like, the timing be perfect to have Boomer Gold take off and Peter Schiff is out there just like, I told you guys, gold's making new all-time highs, and he's so vindicated. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's actually trending down through a bear market, and like everyone's selling because, yeah, hey, look, even gold is outperforming Bitcoin. There goes that narrative. Stock to flow looks like it's breaking. Oh, you should just sell. Look how ugly Bitcoin looks, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you and I, we're sitting there, we're buying the pain. We're loading up for when the inevitable rubber band, whaya, where it outperforms gold, you know, for the next decade. That'd be my plan. One thing you'll learn about me, guys, is I will never encourage you to short Bitcoin, ever. Now, if you want to move to cash so that you can buy a little lower, which is effectively the same thing as shorting, that's probably fine. But even in a breakdown like this, you just never know, man. I'm telling you, the whale games get crazy. So this is going to be a bearish week, if that's what the chart shows. Gotta remember, I don't care what happens. I mean, I don't make real money, life-changing money, until we start a bullish uptrend. I don't make money in a downtrend. I don't. So it's not like I'm rooting for this. I don't open shorts. I'm not going to encourage people to open shorts. I think that's a way to lose money. It's just not the right way to do it. But if you want to sit sidelined and wait for confirmation of a new uptrend, now I think that's a pretty big brain play. When are you going to buy in on ETH? When Bitcoin looks bottomed. I'm not buying ETH independent of Bitcoin. I have no interest in that. Now, if let's say that, sorry guys, my throat's kind of going. If Bitcoin like has a massive move to the downside, big sweaty move, like say all the way, let's say it clears 40 to 30K, like immediately, I would be interested in buying Ethereum, assuming that it overplayed. Like if Bitcoin fell 20% or whatever, maybe Ethereum fell like 35 in a day. Like imagine the pain with that. I would scoop up Ethereum, but I would really be watching to see if Bitcoin shoots its, you know, all the way back up for this retest before it continues its bearish downtrend. That's what I would watch for. What's confirmation of a bottom look like? It's going to look like where I can zoom out on to the daily or the 3-day, and I can see something like this. Like not that price action specifically, but let me get a fresh chart just so I can paint this. What we want to see is strength. You see how the only thing, when I zoom way out, see how the only thing that stands out are sells? When I zoom out and price is at some like very, very scary price, like say 20,000, 30,000, whatever, and it's had, let's say, a year to get for people to sell, and it starts trending sideways, and suddenly the sellers stop showing up, and the next thing you see are actually like big buy candles, and the news is bearish, and Peter Schiff is like loving it, and he's just laughing at everybody's pain. That's what we want to see. Like before our last uptrend, which you could, you know, there's a number of ways you could show this. You could say, oh, well, look, we had the weekly 20 average found support. I love the 20 weekly as a buy level. I love the 20 weekly so much. Yeah, our poor roller coaster guy, he's not Marcus isn't doing very good back there. But the 20 week after an extended bearish downtrend, I love that. Speaking of which, look where we are right now. Let me turn price off. Delete that really quick. We are below, well below the 20 weekly. We did not bounce off the 20 weekly like a lot of permabulls said we would. In fact, the last time we had something like this was 2018. Unfortunately, that's what we're looking at. At no point in the 2017 bull run did we ever fall a single week, fall and close below the 20 week EMA. Now there's several days to pull this thing back up, but I mean, let's be real. That's a lot to overcome. The 20 week is back at 46,000. So this thing would have to like immediately reverse and head north and do like a 15% candle to the upside. My counter argument would be that if you check 2013, we actually went below it. We still have days to close. Okay, here's my counter argument to your counter argument. When we have this big run up with this explosive blow off top, that is a sign of massive bullish interest, right? This is a lot of people looking to get in. And then we consolidated and we broke out. Okay, so if Bitcoin does something similar, let's just play the what if game. If you can draw a really clear trend line and price breaks back above the 20 week at the same time of breaking this trend line, okay, yeah, then that's a good long. That's a good time to go long. But buying right here and praying for it was not the play. It wasn't the play then. It's not the play now. And here's the bad news here. You know why a lot of people did not catch that this was a top? Because there was no blow off top like everyone was looking for. There was no accelerated, you know, one of these where we got so far away from the macro trend lines that thing was just mania. Now we kind of did it there, sure, but we did not do that at all during our peak. And there's a lot of people. In fact, I heard Pomp talk about this. You know, the big crypto Twitter celebrity guy, Pomp. He was talking about how because there was no blow off top, he missed that this was a potential top. So the only people who caught this are the Wyckoff people. Dude, I got a 16. Yeah. But we're talking about, look at this, how this is like a rounded, slow. This is not like big blow off top and it pulled way back. That's what people are used to. I mean, look at 2017. In the final like 2 weeks, price went 70%. Like from 11,000 to 20,000 in like a week. Okay, we didn't get anything like that here. In fact, we got a new high and then a 5% higher high and then a 5% higher high and then everything kind of cratered. Like, it's very different. It's very different. What we're seeing now is very different from what we've seen before. I did hear on one of the up only videos, somebody was talking about this, or one of their streams. They had one of their big whales who trades on BitMEX with like, you know, 9-figure accounts or whatever. But he was talking about how he does not think we will have any more blow off tops in any cycle. And I thought that was really interesting. But what he said was the big wallets now, like the guys buying the 1,000 Bitcoin wallets, these are institutions, right? Like mom and pop and you and me and kind of the nerd guy who likes computers. We can't afford to move the charts with our money. Like, we're just too small. We're way too small. So the guys buying in are big money, like institutions, true whales in the every sense of the word, whales, 7, 8, 9 figure accounts. Those guys, when they buy in, they don't make blow off tops. They're not slamming the all in button. They're cool, they're calm, they know exactly what they're doing. Everything is very calculated in how they do it. In fact, do you remember when Michael Saylor bought in? Do you see, like, he was one of our biggest whale entries ever. In fact, didn't he, I think he was down in here for his first tranche, and that was his second. Do you see him in these charts? Because I don't. So I don't think you're going to get a blow off top. I think, I forget that guy's name, and I apologize if, if you're here, or if this video makes it to you or whatever. But I think you're right. I think you're bang on. Michael Saylor's still buying. Yeah, that's what's funny is even when people are scared and stuff, Saylor's like, hang on. Oh yeah, hey, I got 10 million. I found 10 million. It was in this coffee cup. Hey, yeah. Put in a bid for 10 mil. Just wherever the price is, just buy it. Yeah. We're good. Hey, whoa, hold on. Yeah, I found another 10 mil. It was in the couch cushion. Yeah. Let's get some more. Yeah, he's funny, dude. He just finds millions everywhere. Like it's like a kid finds a penny on the sidewalk. That's Saylor finding $10 million at a time. Let's look at MSTR. That's a good call. Let's look at their oof. They're having a blow off top as well. I think traditional markets are going to have a hard go of it. I don't see anything really bullish about traditional markets. And I'm not a traditional markets TA guy. I'm not. I'm out of my element anytime I look at it. All right. So I know I've spent a lot of time on Bitcoin this stream. It's really because nothing else matters right now. If the king is getting slain, then all the, all the serfs, all the little lords and vassals, they're going to fall too. It doesn't matter. And so if we are TAing Bitcoin, whatever we're saying is going to happen to Bitcoin will ripple through the entire industry for the most part. Now, I'm sure there's always an exception. And someone inevitably is going to be like, hey, well, my coin's up. Like, well, okay, that's cool. But, for the other 8,900 coins or whatever, they're not. All right, let's check out the 4 hour, the dab line, as chat likes to call it, the 4 hour 20 EMA. If I remove all drawings just for a minute, what we have here is the 4 hour is, ever since this breakdown, the Elon breakdown, the 4 hour has been just walking price down over and over. Usually I would say I would expect more of that. But now that we're outside this distribution trade range, I think you have these like kind of late bulls who are like, oh, no, this is just a buy the dip thing. And once that wave of buyers kind of works its way through the system and there's no more buyers, I think it's going to get nasty. On the flip side, if I'm like somehow proven horrifically wrong and we rally all the way back inside the trade range, and I'm talking about like 45K, somewhere up in here, I would want to be in alts, because I bet alts overcorrect to the upside and alts will fly. Absolutely fly. But until then, on the sideline, I sit. Let's take a look at Litecoin. I'll show you my macro play for Litecoin. We're very close to this channel that that Litecoin USD has been in. Very interesting. So does it break down and out of this channel? If/when Bitcoin breaks down, does it rally off the channel lows and continue up? Litecoin is in an isolated trade, in my opinion, because of what it is showing versus Bitcoin. There was a massive downtrend. Litecoin likes to do this thing where it does these downtrend breakout. And then here we had this extended downtrend that is cleanly broken out. It's continuing to show strength versus Bitcoin. I know there's lots of coins out there that do it, but this is one of the only OGs that is doing this. Ethereum's not doing this right now. But Litecoin versus Bitcoin is. So question is, and then Josh pointed this out too. If we look at Litecoin Bitcoin on the weekly with his cloud settings, it has a really clean edge to edge trade going on. So this is another reason why I have not closed out on my Litecoin longs, because I got faith. And I will be looking to add at the support of this channel. And the support of this channel is about 240 to 250, somewhere in here. Not that channel, but this channel. So I'll be watching to see what happens as Bitcoin hits whatever its ultimate low is for this move. And then as Bitcoin has its relief rally, it's going to be interesting to see if Litecoin goes on to hit new highs. Maybe does one of these. I don't know. I have no clue what's going to happen next. It's hard for me to stay bullish on Litecoin on anything, because like I pointed out before, the last time we broke down from a distribution trade range, no alt hit its all-time highs. Now they may have had like secondary rallies that fell short, maybe like a failed double top, that kind of stuff. But none of them went on to make massive new highs. So is Ripple actually going to hit new highs? Is Litecoin going to hit it new highs? Like, it hadn't even hit its prior all-time high. These orange lines are the prior all-time highs, like this one and this one. This is what most exchanges, the prior all-time high was. It was like 300 or 320 or something. And then Coinbase itself hit 420. So I've been kind of watching how that played out. I'll put a little bit of my position into cash if I'm worried about it falling more. And then at least I can buy some kind of dip, and then I'll sell the whole position on a rally. Right? So I could add, like say it does teleport to like 35K or something. Well, then I had a little bit of cash, I can buy it. And then it ends up memeing, like rallying up to like 43 or 44K before the downtrend really starts. And then I can exit the full position. But that's how I look at it. What does spot mean? Sorry. Spot means you're not buying with leverage. You're just buying, like you go to, like, for example, coinbase.com or whatever, and you just bought a Bitcoin with your cash. You put in, let's say like 41,000 right now. You click a button, they say now you have 1 Bitcoin, or you just bought with spot. So a spot buy. Margin is where you buy, or leverage is where you buy with more money than you actually have. Let's turn on the VPVR. This is a visual representation of where buyers and sellers, fought over different levels. A lot of times what you'll see is price actually go straight through that. So it'll go from one end of it straight down to the other. So an ambitious target would be like 29K, which is what I have highlighted here. And that's just based off of what the last Wyckoff, distribution top breakdown ended up doing. But I would expect it to like traverse the entire candle, this group of candles, and then maybe retrace back through it, back to like 40,000, 41,000, something like that. Womp womp. Before it does whatever it's gonna, actually go on to do. BPVR, this is a tool. This is an indicator on TradingView. You just click indicators and type VPVR for visual something. I don't remember what the P is, but it's like a visual range of buyers and sellers. Where are you aiming? We bounce a low time frame before we bleed out of the range. I think we're already out of the range. I think I'm waiting for like people to realize that the bounce isn't coming, that no one's coming to rescue you, bulls. That's kind of like that's what I think's about to happen. See, look, let me just kind of explain. So somebody had a bunch of bids, like because they like that level, they just went on their exchange and they go, hey, if we come back to this level or near it, or maybe just under it, hey, mark me down, sign me up. I'm a buyer. Let's do it. So as price returns to this level, it has a weak rally. And that is what, a lot of times, that's what makes these head and shoulders. Is that somebody saw, oh, hey, I like this price action and that price action, so I'll be a buyer here. But they're not able to overcome the sellers. Because these sellers, the guy selling right here, like as this thing bounces, it's everyone who's stuck. What they call overhead resistance. It's everybody stuck in along above them. So anytime they get to a certain level, people are like, oh, thank God I can get out. Just like I'm telling you, hey, we may bounce so that you can get out, because that's what a lot of people are talking about. There's an entire range of people who are thinking that same thing now. Please, God, let this bounce so I can get out. And anytime you have someone, like anytime you can visualize people thinking like that, that ain't good. Because what markets like to do is crush them and then grind them up. And then give them hope. Oh, hey, look, no, we're just consolidating. We're just consolidating. Everything's fine. Hey, mom, I'll pay you back, you know, in a month. Bitcoin's going to bounce back. It's fine. Tell dad I'll mail him the check. Everything's going to be good. And then it nukes. That final flush. And that's when the news says, okay, Bitcoin's a scam. That's when everyone's like, all right, I'm out. And then that's when we're going to be buying. That's the pain we want to be holding out for. That's the plan anyway. What kind of reversal signs do you look for after we've established a bottom? The only thing that can give the market confidence in a market reversal is high time frame moving averages being broken. So you got to think of it like this. And I'm stealing this from CarpeNoctom. I love it. So shout out to Josh Olszewicz, CarpeNoctom. But one of the things he says that I love is Bitcoin price is not going to go to infinity without you. Wait for some strength, buy strength, wait for confirmation. It's not going to go to infinity without you. Just calm down. You don't need to like rush out and buy the dip immediately, because if you've just been buying the dip since 65K, you're probably out of money. Unless you've been really, really, really smart with like, you know, just divvying it up in like 1/4 portion. Just using a portion of your funds with every dip. But there's been a lot of dips. How much money do you have? Amount of money. Yeah. I bought the dip and it went lower. I know, dude. This is what we're trying to, that's why we're trying to talk about like buying macro confidence moves and stuff. How's this going to affect ETH? That's the $1 million question. I think that's a great question. You asked a great question. Congratulations. Number one, I think Ethereum is breaking down. I think the all-time high is behind us. There, I said it. There, I said it. By the way, how many streams did I point out how great Ethereum looked before it topped? Like if I go back in time, look at that. This was what I was trying to show people. I showed several big name accounts this. They did not want to hear it. They were like, no, this time's different. Okay, bud. Top chart is Ethereum back in 2018. The bottom chart is today. This is literally today's price action. Ethereum topped at 1,400 bucks, went on to $80. Went on to make $80. But anytime, I just like to point back at how similar this Ethereum run up looked to this, the recent Ethereum run up, like the 2016 to 2018 cycle compared to the 2020, you know, into 2021. So if we play this on, we're using the replay tool. Now we're looking at how it played out, the subsequent bear market. This is how it looks. They're ugly. They're hard to trade. That's not even the breakdown. So just visualize our current price action with something similar. And I'm not trying to be like Mr. Bearish FUD guy, but one of the things I pointed out in the Discord is something I kind of pride myself on is I want to get you to just ask the question, okay, what if I'm wrong? So for example, like when you look at this, you might think in your stomach, like, that's not a top. It can't be. So I want to train you to say, okay, but what if I'm wrong and it is? Like, but what if? What if it is? And if you can't mentally handle that, or like it makes you uncomfortable, then you're probably, number one, you got too much on the table, or two, you're in a bad trade and you're trading with emotion. And anytime you enter emotion, you're gonna get, like when you enter a trade using emotion, you're going to get absolutely hammered. You have to have a plan. For me, it's watching Bitcoin specifically to tell me where the entire crypto market top is. Because the way I view this is when Bitcoin tops, every alt goes down with it. Every one of them. Every one of them, including Ethereum. Maybe this time is different, but I can't trade that way. I have a hard time trading that way. So I have to use prior data, and prior data says after a distribution top, alts, they just die. If this is all a reaction to Elon's influence, could this be shifting to something else? So Seba, this is part of the discussion. People like to blame news, but I don't even look at news, okay? However, we've been talking about this being the top since mid-April. And if that was the case then, remember, that's when everyone was bullish and we're going to the moon, it's gonna easy 100K, blah, blah, blah. If that was the case, I couldn't have looked at a chart and said, oh, that's probably top. If news really drove price action, then I couldn't have called top back then. So I am the other way around. I think price occurs and maybe there's a catalyst, like a domino that falls, you know, something like that. I think that's absolutely possible. And maybe that was the catalyst, Elon tweeting, for the subsequent move down. But the point is, the market was already weak. One of my mods, Tex Army, he had he put it a really interesting way. So think of distribution as a Rube Goldberg machine, okay? Like this entire thing, 100 days. And like, you know, the ball falls down and it goes on the ramp and it's knocked over the domino, and now there's a bunch of dominoes, and then it falls on the race car and it does the loop to loop, and then blah, blah, blah. This little moment right here was just like step 90 in the 100-step Rube Goldberg machine. And yes, maybe it was at that moment, it's the tweet from Elon or China bans Bitcoin or whatever, but the machine was already in motion. So shout out to Tex. I thought that was really well put. That's a really good way to think of it. I will say this, Ethereum gave us really clean Wyckoff accumulation during, you know, we're talking about Wyckoff distribution on Bitcoin. Well, Ethereum had really clean Wyckoff accumulation back in 2018 into 2019. That was really, really clean. In fact, if I compare this to Bitcoin's price action, here's Bitcoin from 2015 into 2016. This is an entire year late, an entire cycle before. So we're talking about different cycles here. The top is Ethereum. The bottom is Bitcoin. So you have a big, massive downtrend, a trade range forming, big sell-off, an immediate reaction, consolidation above the trade range. This is the trade range. Consolidation above it, massive uptrend. Okay, let's look at what Bitcoin did. Big downtrend, right? Remember, this was all the way from like $1,400 or whatever, down to 180. Trade range formed, some high to low memes, Big sweaty sell-off. Oops. Big sweaty sell-off. Immediate reaction with consolidation. Immediate reaction with consolidation. So the market did to Ethereum, the whales, the big money. This was your sign that, hey, Ethereum is going to absolutely melt your face. Okay? This is good. Here's the other thing that I just think is really cool. I think this is pretty neat. The accumulation level for Bitcoin was below 300 bucks. As was with Ethereum. So back in 2015, $300 was like the level to break. In 2020, $300 was the level to break for Ethereum. So we're gonna watch as we bottom, you know, during this next bottom, this upcoming bottom, we're going to look for the next thing that makes a Wyckoff bottom. And maybe even below 300 bucks. Hey Jack, what would be a reasonable bottom, a golden entry kind of bottom? Man, it sucks, but I'm gonna say like 10 to 15. And if you want to layer as we go down in case we don't make it that low, then that's probably a big brain move, like no lie, but probably 10 to 15. Let me show you guys this really quick. So in markets, anyone who trades markets, they know to look for a certain thing. I don't like it. I don't like it. Dropped to like the 3-day. That's bad. That's bad. Hey, CryptoJack, besides Wyckoff, how many more distribution setups are there? The only big other one that I would take very serious is Josh Olshowitz's cloud, his cloud setup. Now, let me point out too, because I'm not a bias trader. I'm not a perma bear, whatever. I'm not like rooting for the bears to win here. So when I say Josh's cloud system called for you to close your longs, I will in the same sentence explain that this happened in 2017 as well. And then it told you to reopen those longs. Okay, so there was like a signal to close and then buy. Now here's what's different this time. This time around, last time we had price kind of just trend sideways when the cloud setup told you to close, and I'll show you in a second. And then they crossed again bullishly. So that was like your, okay, time to enter again. That was like your signal. And let me kind of zoom back over. Where you saw that's not the case right now. In fact, everything's trending down. But back in 2017, you had really quick recoveries. From the breakdown to the recovery was like 30-day window, I think Josh said, at its maximum. So let's see where we are now. If you want some hopium, maybe this is it. So we're halfway through it. We're 15 days into it. We got 15 more days to cross back bullishly. Seems like a pretty big ask right now, if you ask me. Question, Bitcoin gets back into 50K and holds for a couple days. Is the top invalid or do we have to make new highs? No, unfortunately, the only time the distribution top is truly invalidated, like there are like baby steps along the way to true invalidation, but true invalidation is up here at this breakdown level. You know, the one that we just failed, the one that we broke down from and failed to get above. So 60K, call it 60K. But I'm telling you, this breakdown we're viewing right now is confirming it. And the true confirmation is if we'd like just straight teleport down another $5,000 or something, and then come back and retest and fail to get back into it. That's what I would expect. This is not like a brag session, but this is just kind of like walking through how I did it. And maybe if you want to find a way to learn from this. But when I tweeted this out, I was scared. And I tweeted it out and I had the conviction to close a massive amount of my longs, even my kind of my long-term longs. And then I was a new buyer on the break of the 4-hour 20 EMA, because to me, that was very interesting. And if we were going to break this whole setup, it was going to be on the backs of this 4-hour 20 EMA. So I was a buyer in here. and I rode this thing up until I noticed, you know, until it was clear that the market was painting this rising wedge, which is super bearish. You never want to be in a falling wedge, or I mean a rising wedge, sorry. And so I closed all my longs, you know, somewhere in that, and I've been sidelined since. So I had a bunch of good plays. You know, my spot Bitcoin got an extra bump. I rode Litecoin from like 270 to 400 during that time. But since then, I'm just in cash, and I'm just watching this. I don't like shorting. If you like shorting, you know, like now's not a terrible time to like on some kind of rally. Like say that 4 hour came down and you were able to get a short on the 4 hour 20 EMA. But that's not my bag. I don't do that. I'm just going to wait on the sideline and cash for the most part. Just see what happens. That's how I do it. We're going to take a look at XRP Bitcoin, because XRP is doing something really interesting. There's a trend line that the market has respected going all the way back to, you know, let's say like, if I'm real liberal with this, January of 2018. But if I'm more realistic, more conservative, whatever, let's say, okay, it was like September, October. But going back to 2018, there's a downtrend line that has just broken out. I am not sleeping on this. I will be buying XRP whenever I feel like Bitcoin, whenever I think the dollar of Bitcoin has kind of bottomed out, I will be buying XRP, because I think XRP on the dollar is going to be like a face melting pump. And only because we haven't seen an XRP Bitcoin chart look like this in years. And I'm not some XRP shill, like I don't care. But when something shows strength, remember how 2017 was the last big bull market? XRP had pretty decent, like half decent breakouts, depending on how you look at it. Two really clean ones, even during like that consolidation breakout. So there were some really clean breakouts back in like at the tail end of 2017. So I'm wondering if we're going to see something like that. So I'm going to risk some dollars in XRP on the off chance that I can get some sort of sweaty pump. Because again, in 2017, it pulled a 40x versus Bitcoin, which is crazy to me. Now, I don't know that the big brain move is to run out and immediately buy into even a chart that looks good like that. I don't know that you want to run and do that when like Bitcoin is making new local lows and like headlines are super bearish and stuff. So, I mean, take a breath, grab a drink of water, like calm down. But at some point, I think it'll be a pretty good time, a pretty good move. What's margin doing? Oh, the short's closed. Ooh. That's usually when you see big moves to the downside. Whenever there's longs open or shorts flat. So this is, if you're new to the stream, this is the BitMEX funding and premium index by neobutane. It's just another indicator, but I use it to keep tabs on what retail is doing. So whenever retail is heavily one direction or another, they're wrong a lot, which is funny to me. Like in here, a lot of people were long and then it broke down, and then they were short and it went up, and then they were long and then it went down. You know, like it's funny to me. So the fact that a lot of these things have closed, we may see like a big, like I'm gonna put it on the minute charts. Let's see what happens. Crypto Burb, yeah. Hey, shout out to Crypto Burb. Hope the paid group's going strong. He literally called me out live or on Twitter and was mocking me for the Wyckoff top a month ago. I'm just some jackass. I am a nobody. Just doing my best.